Indra.
So Jay Janindra, I want to just take a moment to welcome everyone to this episode. Just to introduce Paryushan as it comes into our year in 2025, and we would like to welcome Dr. Vinod Kapashi, Uncle. So he is a PhD in Jainism, and he is going to guide us through a lot of discussion today, and hopefully, we're going to take something really valuable from this session. So, Vinod Uncle, would you mind giving a little bit of an introduction to yourself?
As I said, my name is Vinod Kapashi. I've written quite a few books on Jainism, then PhD on the subject of Nausmarana, nine sacred recitations like Naukar Mantra and Vasagram and Bhaktamar, etc. Mm, and was fortunate to receive OB from the Queen. That's it. Otherwise, I'm very humble, down to earth person, and I like to treat each and every subject from the basic, you know, from the point of view of today's youth,
Mm-hmm.
how we can practice everything in today's modern world rather than sticking to it or getting bogged down or stuck into some old ideology. So hopefully I'll be able to give you something.
Yeah, I'm sure you. I'm sure you will. It's so amazing that you've been recognized by the Queen. So hopefully, everyone realizes how lucky we are to have you as a speaker today. Um, so I think we actually just wanted to start on um, kind of maybe even just Jainism related on how does the world see Jains right now in current day, and maybe the misconception of what Jains are seen to be and what we actually are. Yeah, anything around that.
Right. Thank you, Nisha. I'll of course start with the Naukar mantra,
Of
being the
course,
auspicious
yes.
one. And as the Paryushan festival is coming, so I'll recite Naukar mantra and then I'll try and answer your questions. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Vairyanam, Namo Vajjayanam, Namo Loye Savvasaunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Savvapavapanasano, Mangalanam cha Savvesing, Padamang Havai Mangalam. Right? Jai Jinendra to you all. Jai Jinendra to my friends in Young Jains. Yeah. We'll talk about Jainism first. It's very old ideology. People call it a way of life. There are very few Jains in the world, very
Mm,
few. Something like 40, 50 million Jains are living in India, and 2 to 3 Jains are living outside India. So it's comparatively a very minority religion, but nevertheless, it has got a very glorifying history. Legacy is so good, and the religious principles are so good and they are relevant even in today's world. And I will explain very simply these things. Once a BBC journalist said that I have studied all the religions. He was interfaith correspondent. And the one religion I found which is purely environment friendly and which talks about peace and non-violence, that's the religion, that's Jainism. And that's what not me or you or not any Jain person in the street said. Say, BBC journalist, non-Indian person. So it shows that Jainism has a lot to offer. And to start from the very basic thing, we recited Naukar Mantra And we said Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam. Just these two sentences. I bow down to Arihant, the enlightened beings. And Namo Siddhanam, I bow down to the liberated souls. Now you can see there's no name. He didn't say I bow down to Mahavira or Krishna or this god or the other god. So what is Arihanta and Siddha? These are the virtues. So we bow down to the virtues.
Completely agreed,
And
yeah.
Arihant is like a title. Anyone can become Arihanta, enlightened beings. That's the beauty of Jainism. That's the beauty of our basic mantra. And it has said so many things, If we understand Jainism properly, one more example Jainism has said that life is everywhere. Our duty is, of course, not to kill, not to harm, all these things, but we have to protect them. And why we protect them? In our own interest. Because our survival depends on their survival. Paraspara upagraho jivanam. That is the mantra Jainism has given. And I've attended many conferences, and people have said that this is a unique thing. Parasparopagraho jivana. All life is interdependent. We are not the masters of this universe. We are not the masters of this earth. God hasn't given all these things for our consumption, for our exploitation. No. We have to live peacefully and in harmony with all these living beings around us. Trees, creatures, all sorts of animals, plant life, anything. Life is everywhere.
I think that's such a beautiful distinction that is not made very often in Jainism because I think, yeah, like we as Jains, we associate, like for example, ahimsa is something that most Jains like live by, of trying to kind of reduce your impact on the world and harm to other beings. But the whole idea that we are completely interdependent on each other, and we see it in everyday life. Like for example, we wouldn't survive a day in in a peaceful mindset without the air we breathe or without water or food. And so it just goes to show that since we are so dependent on it, the plants and trees, they wouldn't grow without our support also. And it is then our duty as people to protect and live in harmony with all living beings. And I think that's such a beautiful way to take into just everyday life, that if you are trying to live in a way that respects all the living beings around you, that's it's such an important way and understanding to have, I guess, especially in this day and age when there is so many ways to consume. There is shops in every corner, and everywhere you go, you are going to buy something, and that has gone through planes and importation, and so many beings have gone through every single thing we are doing in our lives, even to the energy consumption that we have in our house. And we don't realize how interconnected everything is until we really sit and think about it. But Jainism has beautifully written it for centuries ago and given us this beautiful information. And I think it's nice. I think it's really important that Jains, at least us as a minority, can have this in the forefront of our lives, just to remember. And I think it's a really nice way to also explain Jainism to someone that has never heard about it. You know? I
That's
have a
right.
question. If you
Mhm.
were to explain a Jain in one sentence, how do you think you would answer? If someone asks you, so what is a Jain?
Jain is a person who has conquered his inner enemies like ego, illusion, deceit, greed, and anger. If you conquer these vices, they're collectively called kashai in Jain religion. So if you attain victory over all these things, you are a true Jain. But other things are, of course, do this, do not do this, eat this, don't eat this, you know, have you do all these rituals. These are minor things. Sometimes we hold on to those small things and we forget about the bigger picture. We forget about what our priorities should be. Our priorities are conquering our ego and greed and all these things. And then we get bogged down in small things. You eat this thing, you do not eat things. Of course, these things are important. But if you put all this in the list of important things, which one comes first? Idea of ahimsa, behaving properly with other human beings, have a peaceful life, inner peace, all these things. But sometimes we say that, oh, this is religion, this is not religion. Only drinking boiled water is religion. And we forget about the other things.
Yeah.
Drinking
Well,
boiled water is
actually,
very
yeah.
important, it's good, but we shouldn't forget this thing. Our priorities are different. That's my own view, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's a very common thing right now that we unfortunately get forget that all of these rituals that we practice are a means to achieve some kind of um, overcoming our kashais and our passions in life. So passions meaning like how you said greed, deceit, lying, all of these things they come under kashais. Anger, things like extreme want for possession, so more. And we forget that it's actually just to foster a detachment or foster harmony and foster love. For example, the with the boiled water example, the jeeves in the water. It's not that we just drink water that is boiled, but it's because we want to not harm the jeeves any further. And I think it's so crazy how we forget this whilst doing the rituals. We forget what our actual goal is. But I thought it was interesting that you said that a Jain is someone that has overcome their kashais. So, what about me? I would say that I'm definitely not at that state at life, but I'm trying to work towards that as a youth, just by being more mindful in my day to day life. Um, would you say that does not make me a Jain, or does that make me a Jain in progress?
No, I wouldn't say that because what I have seen, and especially in this country, I travel extensively in this country. I've gone to so many countries and given lectures. I see that people, youth nowadays, see Jainism from different angle. For them, rightly or wrongly, it's not a teaching religion. It's a religion of this modern world which can guide us, you know. And Jainism has got this philosophy like Anekantvad, accepting multiplicity of viewpoints. What a beautiful principle Anekantvad is. Aparigraha, non-acquisition, non-possessiveness. Do we understand what aparigraha is? No, but I'm glad that modern youth, people like you, who explore all these things, would like to more about all these things and try and adopt this. Of course, we mentioned about boiled water and other things. These are scientific things. There's a logic behind it too. But my inner conscious always says that if you do a mistake somewhere, if you say, I didn't do this, or I forgot to do pratikraman or these things, that can be forgiven. But if you harbor bad feelings, harbor feelings of revenge and anger and everything, this will harm you more, and it will harm you more than the other person. So Jainism teaches us this thing.
Yeah, and it rightfully, like, all these things that we learn, I think, through life, through making our mistakes, Jainism is beautifully laid out for us. And I think also one of the other things I love is that you don't have to be perfect to be Jain, is one of the things. In the way that there's not a rule book that you have to follow to make you a good Jain, I would say. This whole term of being a good practitioner of a religion, I don't think that exists in Jainism. I think with right intention and with right understanding of why you are practicing your religion, Jainism is so forgiving. And yeah, so like I I would agree that you don't have to have overcome yokashais to be a Jain. But if you have the understanding that they are there and that you are working towards not having them so strongly in your life, then I think you are a Jain. You're on a path of Jainism. And I also love that you don't convert into Jainism. You don't start just, you don't have a initiation into the religion. It's just a philosophy and a way of life, as you said at the beginning, that literally anyone can adopt its principles. And I think they will see the fruit of the religion once they start practicing it. So yeah, I think that beautifully outlines what a Jain is in today's modern world. I think someone that is mindful and cautious of their surroundings, of the people around them, and truly, truly does care about these things and wants to live in harmony. I think somewhere or the other you must have been a Jain in your past life, because these are, I think, our founding values that
Mm,
we try and inculcate in every part of our
mm.
lives. So I think that gives us a great introduction. So, how about we go into Paryushan itself? Like, this is going to be an 8-day festival that is going to be happening on the starting on the 20th, very very soon,
Yeah,
next week. And so, what actually is Paryushan? If you wanted to explain simply.
pollution is one of our festivals. Of course, we've got many festivals, Ambils and Mahavir, Janma Kalyana, but
Yeah,
Paryushan is the most important festivals.
for
And
sure.
when we say festivals, we must remember that these festivals are not the festivals where you can sing and dance and have big parties and all these things like in other religion. They say festivals, all these things. These are the days of introspection, going inwards, thinking about yourself, all these things, and practicing restraint, self control, reading scriptures, and all these things. These are our Jain festivals. So, Jain festival is like that. And Paryushan, especially, as you all know, that our monks and nuns do not travel during the monsoon season. They have to stay at one place temporarily for 4 months or so. Just before this starts, they had decided that, of course, we are going to start this 4 month period of staying at one place. We will call all our Sravakas, lay people, and celebrate the festival, teach the good values. And so this festival was divided for 8 days. 8 days for Shwetambar and Sthanapasi people, 10 days for Digambar people. So Paryushan is coming together from all directions. People come together under the auspicious guidance of monks and nuns. They do all the religious activities. One of the main activities is doing pratikramana, a ritual of introspection, thinking about your own deeds and asking for forgiveness, begging forgiveness from others. This is the thing. And you are also advised to fast if possible. Go to temples, do other religious activities, donate money in Jivdaya, compassion funds, and generally spend your time, these 8 days, in religious activities only. That's Paryushan.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the easiest way I think I would explain Paryushan to anyone that asks is I think it is a festival, and I think yeah, as you rightfully said, it's not exactly the festival that you dance and sing and you're it's not like Diwali where we light diyas everywhere and we're buying everyone gifts. But in fact, I think it really does embody Jain values in the way of having less is more. And it is that beautiful time of, as you explained, the history of it was because of the monsoon. And so that's why it kind of comes during this time of the year. So that monks, sadhus, and sadhvis didn't basically want to kill more jeeves and travel whilst they're traveling in the water and there's more jeeves around outside, if they were to travel, they would inadvertently harm more jeeves. So they would stay indoors and do sadhana during these 4 months, and that became a tradition later on for Paryushan as the time. And I think now, even if we look at it from more of a modern perspective, as us like a very samsaric people, so people living in normal kind of world, going to work and everything, not basically renounced from the world, we still require some kind of a reset. And we, as people, should have this time to reflect on our year. And I think it really does embody the kind of values that Jains have in the way that this is our time to understand, okay, this is the year that has just gone by, and what actually have I done that was not according to my own value set? And do I want to change? How do I change it? How do I begin to change it? But that first step during Pratikaman, so Pratikaman is usually what, 48 minutes to an hour. Some days it's much longer, like an hour and a half. Samvatsari Pratikaman is a lot longer.
Not longer.
Yeah. But I think when I was younger, I used to find it really boring because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just sat there because my mom told me that, okay, you have to sit here and do Pratikaman now. And I'm a Deravasi, so we have lots of standing up. We have different mudras that mean different things during Pratikaman. But in the last, I think, 4 to 5 years, I love Pratikaman because it's actually the time of the day where you don't touch any um what's it called? Like there's no connection to the outside world. There is no phones, there's no light. You're sat in a lovely like dark slash like peaceful room, I'd say, in like Upashre. And you are sat in front of some reflection of Bhagwan, like a scripture or something, in front of you. Just I'm talking about the ritual. And it's literally your time to reflect. Even the shloks that you say during Pratikaman, if you understand what it actually is, it is just understanding that, look, I have done so much stuff without realizing, whether it's I have spoken ill words, or I've thought bad things, or I've stepped on an ant without realizing whilst walking. And imagine how many times we've done this throughout the day or like throughout the year. So it's like this amazing, beautiful reset that it's like, I am truly sorry for all the things I have done unknowingly or knowingly during this last year. And it's this beautiful idea that you're not doomed. Like, by doing all these bad things, you are not doomed. But having the awareness and the introspection to understand that this was not right and I want to do something to change it, I think that's the beautiful thing about Jainism. And it's not forcing us into any box that you are bad because you did this, or you're a bad Jain because you didn't have boiled water, or you didn't do tap, or you didn't follow titi. It's not like that. So I think in every way we can probably apply the values of Jainism to, but in especially during Paryushan, as much as we can, as much as time we can give to sadhana during that time. I look forward to it because I feel like, wow, this is the one time in my year that I can just go to Derasar for most of my day for that whole week, and I'm like, it's fine, like it's good. I actually can fully devote the time rather than how we struggle sometimes. Get, oh my God, how am I going to get to Derasar once a month even? So I'd say Paryushan is it is a festival. I think it's a rejoice of the self rather than
Yes, yeah.
outward external
It,
things. We that's how I think I was talking to my Guruji, and I think he explained Paryushan being that it is a festival, but it's not a festival for the external and for your whole surroundings. It's a festival to celebrate your inner virtues as an Atma. And when do we get the chance to do that? In fact, we should rejoice that.
mm,
It's so different from birthdays and New Year.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Nicely said. Very nicely said. And that's what Paryushan is. That's what Pratikraman is. And you mentioned that there was a time, perhaps you thought everything was boring, you know? Yeah.
yeah,
Especially the Pratikraman ritual. The reason, of course, very simple. Whatever is written in the Pratikramana book, either in Sanskrit language or Prakrit language, we do not understand. Most of the people do not know this language. They don't
mm,
know what is there written in there. And that's why they found it boring or some of the things repetitive. Yeah. But once you start learning about that, then you see how relevant it is. Like Atichar,
mm,
you, everything has been identified. I might have done this, I might have done this, I might have said that, I might have gone, I might have done so many things in my business and other activities. Everything has been listed. There's atichar, transgressions. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's, it's a time to reflect, time to see everything from that angle. And that, oh, I'm sorry. I must come back from that path. The meaning of Parishan is that, Pratikraman is that. I must come back from that path and try and walk the right path. And that's why we say, Michhami Dukkadam. Mithya me duskrutam. Duskrut means my faults, my wrongdoings. Mithya, futile. May my wrongdoings, may my faults become all futile and be forgiven. What a
understood.
beautiful idea,
Yeah,
So, in that sense, it's a festival that we go to each other's place, we go to our friends, our relatives, and not only that, we may have issues with some friends, must go to them or phone them or email them and say that Michhami Dukkadam.
yeah,
Please forgive me, and we will forget, and forgive all living beings. Yeah.
mm,
So this is the way. This is what Parishan is. And I'm sad you like this. I'm glad you like this festival.
yeah.
Going to
I
temple,
actually do.
meeting nice people. Yeah.
I think it is actually one of the ones I truly look forward to, one in the year.
Mm.
I think even more than Diwali and Navratri, even though I'm a huge Garba fan.
It's
I think
meaningful. Yeah. So many
Paryushan,
things involved.
yeah,
Yeah.
Paryushan is just I don't know. I it from anything that happens from the whole year, I feel that no matter where I am, Paryushan will bring me back. And I think that knowing that this time will come, even if everything is going wrong in my life, or if I am struggling mentally or anything is going wrong, or even going right, then you have the chance to be grateful, one, during Paryushan, that I'm so glad that this year has worked out so well with grace. And two, we have the opposite things that if we're going in the wrong track, we get pulled back to our center and our virtue
mm,
base. And I don't know, it's like the most not superficial thing in the world to me, because
mm,
Paryushan is a genuine callback to your roots, I feel. Especially just for me, I think. I don't know. I've been blessed that staying in Manchester, we have a beautiful song. So I love the fact that we all come together at least once a year for this time, and we get to see everyone, and it is genuinely a time to celebrate and learn more about your faith. And that's kind of why we're doing today as well, because what time better than now to just to reconnect, I guess, with all of our lost teachings. Okay, so I think one of the main questions now is, how do people that cannot practice Jainism or Paryushan or go to Derasar during the 8 days because of work, or they just don't know where it is, or they don't know how to do Pratikaman, Chaityavandan, or anything. How do they do any kind of sadhana during Paryushan, or what are some practical tips that they can take into their lives?
the essence of Pratikraman and the festival is going inward, you know. So you can do many things. The most uh, important is meditation. And meditation in the Jain religion is, I mean, teaching us many types of meditation. You can sit down in front of image, murti, photograph, or use a Naukarwari rosary and chant mantras, or just sit down and think about our Lord Tirthankara, like Pindastha Dhyan, Padastha Dhyan, means lose yourself in the whole idea that you are somewhere. The God is present. You are in front of Him. You are seeing Him. You are virtuing. You are saying, yeah. And then you think about His virtues. You think about how His life was lived. And you think about His upadesh, His discourses and everything. Yeah. So this is one thing that will help you very much, you know. So if you can't go to a temple, if you can't do any ritual, at least you sit down for say 45, 48 minutes. This is also type of samayika. Samayik means attaining equanimity, samta bhav. You get rid of all those bad ideas. And as I said, anger, ego, this, it, everything, you get rid of it. And sit down and cultivate samta bhav. That is the main thing.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way that youth could kind of apply it. So I think some of the practical ways that you said, to just summarize, is one, meditation. So even if you're or we are able to give maybe 5 to 10 minutes a day, maybe 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, just to reflect on our day, on what we have done, on the past year even, and to try and become closer to ourselves. This whole idea of introspection, of trying to see where our discrepancies are, or where we can improve, or maybe just to, maybe it's a meditation just to foster love and harmony in our heart and to wish that for everyone else. Um, but just coming closer to our innate values as an Atma, as a soul. Um, so of love and kindness, of non-possessiveness, of detachment from this external world, and maybe just giving ourselves some time to disconnect. So maybe that could be a really easy, not easy, I wouldn't say it's easy, but um, easy to implement rather than going to Derasar. Obviously, it's lovely to go to Derasar, but if that's not an option for some people to do that. Or as you said, another option was chanting. Maybe it's Nokar mantra, doing a Nokar Wari, so a rosary bead. So maybe chanting Nokar 108 times is a Nokar Wari, for those who don't know. Um, and you said also doing a different kind of dhyan where we are trying to cultivate the virtues of Bhagwan in us. So when we say God, we say Bhagwan, but when we say Bhagwan, we don't think of God as, I think the idea of God in general in Jainism is a little bit different to most religions. Rather than having one supreme being, it's more so that we have the supreme being within us. And so Bhagwan is someone that has shed his karmas and his being is him. That is his form, and that's what we see. Rather, our supreme being is a little bit covered right now, hidden by our karmas, but we can bring that out. So the idea of God is not having one supreme creator, but rather the innate qualities within us and having someone to aspire to be like is God, I guess. And so when we want to do this kind of dhyan or this kind of meditation in English, um, it's more so looking at the qualities of Bhagwan and seeing how I can become closer to that or become more aligned to that.
Mm.
So those are, I think, a really nice three ways to take forward. Um,
These are the things, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm. Two things. You mentioned very good word, detachment. Eh, We must really learn detachment because we are so attached with our relations, with our friends, with our possession, money, position, power, everything we are attached. And that creates not only ego, sometimes we tend to do wrong things to acquire few more things. Say if you have got 99,000 pounds and you thought, no, I must have 100,000 pounds. But when you find it very difficult to get that last 1,000, you'll be tempted to do some wrong things. And that happens in real life. We see in the newspaper, in television, and everywhere. People do wrong things because of their greed and because they are attached with their money, with their possession. They want more and more. But the Jainism says detachment is one of the greatest virtues. I'll give you one interesting example. I met a Scottish young man. He's vegan. He's very nice gentleman. He's always eager to learn everything. He's quite young, and he is married to a Jain girl. So I gave him my books about Jainism and everything. And one thing, it caught his mind, aparigraha, non-possessiveness, non-acquisition. And when I saw him after a couple of months, he said, you'll be surprised what he said. He said, Vinod Bhai, I'm now using only 4 shirts. I haven't got more than 4 because of this aparigraha in the Jain religion. And wherever possible, I am traveling by train, not by plane. I thought, oh my God, he has learned Jainism, you know. Yeah. But that is what it is. Jainism is so great. And we try and forget how to implement these values in our life. So this is one thing you mentioned very nicely, detachment. And this is even given in our scripture. It says, what is possession? A beautiful sentence. I'm not going to say in Sanskrit. Possession is your attachment. That's worse than your possession. It's all right to have £1 million in the bank as long as you are not attached, as long as you think that you are merely a trustee. God has given to you to spend it wisely and to do charitable activities. But if you are attached with that, then you are not a Jain. So that is one good thing. And of course, there are many things which Jainism teaches us.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that that closes that question really, really lovely of how we can implement these kind of things. And that was a really lovely example that you gave of someone that just hearing about it, not even a Jain from birth, was able to implement some of the values of detachment, or even just compassion and understanding of like how to travel wisely. Like um I think we even as people don't like as Jains sometimes can't even do that once we're traveling so much, whether it be for work or for pleasure. We sometimes don't keep a track of that. And that's so lovely to see that the value is seen in other people as well. And I think that gives us a good motivation to try and cultivate these kind of things as well.
One day we'll try and invite in a young James function. Yes,
Yes, of course. I think that
yes,
would be
I'm
lo I think
I'm
it'd
in
be
touch.
lovely.
He's a remarkable guy. Then, yeah.
Yeah, it would be
Mm,
lovely to meet. I think a lot of people can
mm,
learn from that.
mm,
Um,
mm.
Especially because it's just like, how do I actually do this in my samsaric life, in my life where I'm literally not renounced from the world. I am very much in the space where I'm constantly having to talk to people, be in situations for work, and remaining detached still in those situations is so difficult. But um, if we are able to try, I think it benefits us just as much. I think it's worth the effort. Um,
Mm.
so we got a few questions from our community. Okay. So I was
Yeah.
wondering whether we could tackle a few of them, just quite of short answers, pretty much. But I think it would be wise, like it would be cool to understand. So a lot of people actually had food related questions of people that kind of understood the meaning behind why we don't, for example, eat root vegetables. But then in that we have some exceptions. And I think the understanding of why we actually have those exceptions would be very interesting to know. So for example, we have dahi in Jainism. So dahi is yogurt, like normal natural yogurt that we have. And to make yogurt, it has to be fermented. So that means that you have jeeves, you have life inside the yogurt, the live cultures, which turns the milk into yogurt. And Jains eat this, and with it being life. So when Jains, for example, maybe wouldn't have yeast in bread or less so, why is the difference there? Do you think you could explain that?
Actually, we are advised to have yogurt, but not in the proper, not in the cold form. You have to heat it up
Okay.
and then use it because the process of continuous growth, new bacteria are being born and died, and everything happens continuously. That process will stop once you hit the yogurt. Yeah, and then use it. Many people may not find this answer satisfactorily, but this is a compromise that you hit the yogurt and then use it with other thing, use it with bread or everything. This is what you are advised to do. And we know that Indian people, especially Jains by and large, are lacto-vegetarians. Lacto-vegetarian, yeah, we all know the meaning. We are allowed or we were allowed dairy
Hmm.
products during that time. And people still think, even in India now, that, oh, milk is allowed, yogurt is allowed, everything. Because during that olden times, uh, the way milk was produced, the way milk was used, and especially when it was surplus, it was used. This is not the case now. This is all industrial farming, commercial motivation, everything, they don't take, they don't think cow is a living being. They think cow is just a product
Yeah,
which
they
one
they
can
they use
use,
it as a tool
Yeah,
rather than a
yeah,
live being, which
something, yeah. And that is why rightly many people are turning to vegan food.
yeah,
And if you are purely vegan, of course, you wouldn't eat yogurt. Yeah. But if you want to eat yogurt, you do as per the Jain instructions, like
heating it
heating
up.
up and everything,
Yeah.
stopping that process. Mm,
Before eating it, I guess so, yeah.
mm,
So, okay, so the understanding is that it's the heating that we shouldn't technically have it anyway, kind of,
mm.
because there are live cultures inside of it that are constantly going away. And in the process of making it suitable for us to eat, we have to denature all the enzymes and the bacteria. So with the heat. Um, but I guess in a way that's kind of killing them. Um, so now in this day and age, we it's advisable to not do it in general. But as a compromise, you're saying that
It's a compromise. Same
because of the
thing as,
cult,
boiling water. Yeah,
yeah,
we are killing those microorganisms.
yeah,
We are killing ones, yeah, and then drinking water.
hmm
But again, if you do not boil the water, that process is continuously happening there in the water, in the cold water. That's what our religion says. So compromise is boil it and then make it a chitta,
achit, yeah,
which has got no life.
hmm
Sachit has got the thing which has got life.
yeah,
So make the water a chitta. Yeah.
okay,
And then
understood.
drink it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a compromise because as we know, like humans need water to survive. And so in the way to reduce as much as we can our hinsa to the environment, we boil the water. But there's even a caveat on the boiling water that we have to boil the water and then we have to have it within the 48 minutes before jeeves start um,
That's right.
coming back to
Then
life
all
again
sorts of
in the
rules have
water.
been formulated depending on the
Again, it's not
climate
have
and
to.
where you are
It's
and
not have to,
what
but
time and yeah.
it's given to us, I guess, that for example, and it's also like natural science that if you leave
Mm.
water anywhere for more than a certain time after heating it, it is going to recreate the genes.
Again, yeah.
And so you'll have to boil it again if you want to
Mm.
be really, really, truly aligned to that scripture.
Right. Yeah.
But as a compromise
The key
again,
is, sorry, no, the key is minimizing violence.
yeah, exactly. It's not
One cannot
eliminating it.
avoid violence.
Yeah.
When we speak, there is violence because we speak, there is odd micro things in the air. We might harm them. So the key is minimizing it, yes. So what we eat, what we drink, how we behave, try and try and see the basic thing behind this. Are you minimizing it? Are you thinking about all this life and everything? Otherwise, as I said, some people think that Jainism is a Christian religion. There is no end to it. The soot and other things and haldi and
Actually, we were going to
what we
ask
eat
about
and how
those
we
two
eat
as
it.
well.
Perhaps that's, I've been asked that question many times. Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing. Soot is green adu, ginger.
Yeah. So
You
sooth is
know,
actually
it,
dried ginger.
it's a live thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
when it is dried up,
We as Jain, so
mm,
I'm just going to give a backstory to that question. So if people don't know what soot is. So soot is dried ginger. And us as Jains, we don't have root vegetables. And ginger obviously comes from the ground in the root. Like you have to pull it up from the root. So
yeah,
a common question is, if we don't have things like carrot or onion, why are we allowed soot, which is dried ginger powder, in our food? Because that also comes from a root vegetable. So now
that's right.
Vinod
Yeah.
uncle is going to explain.
Well, as I said, once it is dried, it becomes sort of a chitta. There's no life in there. But remember one thing: if you eat carrot, you might eat the whole carrot or two or three carrots. But when you eat soot, how much you are going to eat? Just quarter a spoonful or something in your vegetable or tea or something. So the quantity you eat is also significant in a, that's important. Yeah. So our teachers and acharyas thought about it. And Sunt has got certain values, you know, health related values and other things. And you are only allowed to eat only say 1 gram, 2 gram, 3 grams. So they allowed it for medicinal purposes or whatever. And Sunt, as I said, is achitta. There is no life in there, is dried completely. While the other things, like potatoes, there are many lives in there. You can't, I mean, dry a potato and say that, oh, like a sunt, this is dry potato
We do
and
have
it has
things like
become a chit.
that's why
No,
we get
because
the question of like, for example, we get dried onion powder or dried garlic powder. We do get them. So why are those not allowed in Jainism? Like for example, in like crisp packets, they don't have real onion in them, but in the flavoring, we can see onion powder or like garlic powder. So why is that not allowed?
there's another reason behind it. Garlic and onions are considered tamasi food. Tamasi means the food which can arouse patience, which can make you angry, and all these feelings
Hmm,
are, perverted inside. So
understood.
garlic and onions are not allowed. Yeah. Even you can say in a Swaminarayan religion, other
Yeah,
thing,
in
they
Hinduism
do
as well,
not
yeah.
eat garlic and
Hmm.
onion. So it's slightly different uh, reason. Of
Yeah.
course, the main reason is there, uh, Sadharan Vanaspatikaya and all that. But there's another reason. Hmm.
Can you give a translation for Sadharan Vanaspatika just for people that don't understand Gujarati?
Oh, yes, yes. Sadharan Vanaspatikaya, a thing which has got many, many lives in there,
Okay.
like potato. Potato
Yeah.
is Sadharan Vanaspatikaya, These root vegetables are all Sadharan Vanaspatikais. The thing, a fruit or in vegetable which has got many lives. In the, even what what we call ringna, brinjal,
So
aubergine.
aubergine, yeah.
Yeah, it has got many lives. Some tomatoes are that type of vegetable. So
But
what religion
I
says
think
avoid that.
the
Some
difference
tomatoes.
with those are that so the difference between why we have tomatoes and maybe why not and ringan, also aubergine rather than like potatoes is kind of that once you pull a potato outside of the ground, that potato is now done. Like you're not going to, until you replant the potato seeds, you're not going to get more potatoes. Rather than, for example, tomatoes, once you pluck one tomato fruit, the tree is going to keep growing. The tree is not going to stop its process of growing. In fact, it will drop its tomatoes by itself after a certain point because it can't take the weight. And it's ready, it's too ripe. So I think one other way that we sometimes explain in Jainism for root vegetables is that like, for example, if I'm plucking the carrot out of the ground until I plant another carrot seed, I'm not going to get another carrot back because it's gone. But if I pluck an apple from a tree, I'm going to still get 100 more apples on my tree. So I guess that's also maybe one of the reasons why we sometimes have other vegetables. But even then, during Tithi days, so certain times of the month or during Paryushan, or people that follow Jainism food-wise to an absolute core, like sadhus and sadhvis, they don't even have what we call lilotri, so green vegetables or vegetables or fruit. So they survive really with the bare minimum of just like wheat flour and dried beans and lentils. So that is also possible, but again, it's an extreme that most people in like their daily lives are not able to really attune to. So yeah, that it does make a lot more sense once you explain it like that. And I do like the way that you explained for the day about it being a compromise. it's nowhere said that it's completely fine and okay and good because everything in
Mm.
Jainism, I guess, has a equal and opposite reaction due to karma theory. Um, but it's just like we as humans, our body needs some sort of nourishment, health reasons, health wise. And so, as a compromise, we do these certain things, but we are trying to minimize harm rather than eliminate it. Because, as you
That's
said,
the key, yes.
it's
Yeah.
going to be
Mm.
there. So yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Minimizing violence. And one thing you had mentioned earlier,
mm,
progression.
yeah,
Our life should be that, what I am today, I must be little bit better in my behavior, in my thinking, in my practices, and all this. Little bit better than today. I must tomorrow. I must achieve that. Yeah. So it's a gradual climbing on steps, one step, then another one, then another one. Yeah. So that is what Jainism is. That's what our life should be, and that's what I always think that if I can be a better person tomorrow, then I'm a Jain.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think I think it's that constant improvement and the
Okay.
willingness to improve rather than anything
Mm.
else. Um, And yeah, I do think that this this touched a lot of current issues, I guess, right now with the view of Jains and who we are and how we can cultivate some virtues and values within us. Um, I think that's a beautiful note to end on. But if you would you like to, for anyone that wants to know a little bit more about Jainism, or a really, really easy ways to connect with maybe some of the baseline fundamentals of Jainism, something not too difficult. Is there any books or websites or articles that you would recommend that we could maybe share with our team at the end?
There are, of course, many books. We are fortunate that
Yeah,
literature is available, and even a lot of material in Google.
yeah.
There is one more site, Jain e-library.
Okay.
It has got more than 20,000 books. Jain
Wow.
e-library. Yeah. And you'll see Gujarati, Hindi, English books, all sorts of subjects. So I recommend that you search in Google. Doesn't cost anything, this
Yeah.
JD library thing, and you can download load any book, you can print any page if you like. There's
Hmm.
no copyright in that site,
That's
nothing.
wonderful.
So that's very good. And of course, there are many books. I written few simple ones
Yeah.
and got copies, and your
What are the
members are
titles
very
of your own
welcome to have
books?
them. Uh,
Maybe
uh,
if you wanted to
just
like share, for example,
Yeah, so
one book
the
or
book like
something that
that and all that thing, and yeah,
yeah,
way of life, and I've got book on Pratikramana. That's also, there are quite a few editions were printed. Yeah, it's very simple, short book. Yeah.
that would be amazing.
Meanings of
So
some of the sutra.
yeah, that would be really amazing. So I guess for the youth, and just to end this session in a lovely way, to not leave you guys with nothing, um, I think we will also share all the links of some of these books that Vinod Uncle has written. Just to help anyone that wants to learn a little bit more about Jainism during Paryushan or after Paryushan. Um, and maybe these, I think, especially the Pratikaman, I think that would be a beautiful way that people can learn to love Pratikaman as a practice, and understand it just by understanding why we actually recite these really long sutras. Um, and so definitely at the end of this, we will share all the links to the book so that if anyone wants to, and to the Jainism e-library that was said, so that anyone that is interested has the resources. But yeah, I just want to thank you, Vinod Uncle, for coming onto this and speaking so lovely about Jainism and educating us about it, and giving up your valuable time to give back to the youth of James. Um, so yeah, we just want to say Michami Dukum for anything that we might have said that caused any kind
Chamidugran.
of
Thank you to
um,
everyone.
any kind of thoughts, if any manvachan kaya, so my thoughts, actions, or words, if I have hurt you, I request your forgiveness. Michami dukram.
Yeah.
And I hope you have the most amazing day. And for our youth, I hope you took something from this session. And if you want to see more things like this, please do not be scared to reach out. We can also share Vinod Uncle's number or email if you guys have any questions for him after the end of the session. And hopefully, he can answer them. So yeah, I hope you have a lovely
Thank
rest of the
you.
day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Jay Janindra.
Thank you and bye. Yes.
Goodbye.